I believe we are live on Facebook. Welcome to episode 56 of Spencer Uncensored here on the Unshakable Real Estate Agent Group, where we all here to make more so we can live more. Isn't that what it's about? Let me step over here on this side. Make sure I got my note or my comments over here so that you guys can chime in. If I hear from anybody, I see you guys coming in, I'll chat with you over there. Drop your comments in. Feel free to talk. I did send out an email to those that are in my, we call it a keeping in touch list, and suggested, hey, if you got questions or something you want to share with me, feel free to do so. I got a couple of questions. Some of you specifically, though, I am going to, because you are actually in the Unshakable HQ or you're one of my UHG peeps, we're going to put you, I'm going to answer those questions tomorrow night on Wednesday Night Live. If you guys are not part of the Unshakable HQ or at UHG, if you're not part of my inside group, let's put it that way, and you don't know anything about anything about Wednesday Night Live, I believe you're missing out. I'm just going to say that because it's Wednesday Night Live. A matter of fact, maybe this is the best time for me to just point this out for you guys. Those of you that are on my inside group, all right, this is a public facing group. So when you guys see this, like anybody pretty much can get in on this and learn and get good stuff from it. But Wednesday Night Live, I'm just going to take the time to talk about this for a second while more and more of you start showing up. And if you've ever experienced Wednesday Night Live and you're here and you're in, feel free to drop whatever your thoughts are in the comments, because there's going to be people that'll be like, "What's this Wednesday Night Live thing?" I originally showed up. I started like way back February of 22, and when I did that, I had a glass that actually had tea in it. Okay, like just tea. And they were joking around as if it wasn't tea, right? Oh no, that's not tea, And I didn't correct them, and I made them think it was probably whiskey or something. And so the next time we got on, then I did come with alcohol, and then next thing I knew, we were doing all this. We're just bringing drinks to the event, right? So it was just okay, cool. It was originally intended for me for an inside conversation with the team to discuss, questions and answers, what's happening, kind of what I see is happening going on. Like last week, we talked about investors because there's a tremendous amount of investor discussion I've been having recently with agents, right? Hey, I got this investor. I'm doing this with this investor. I'm writing 5 offers for this investor. I'm looking for this for the investor. And so last week, we covered specifically what to do with investors. That's what we do at Wednesday Night Live, but it kind of evolved along the way because somehow, for some reason, you guys thought it was hilarious, or that group particularly. For whatever reason, the more over the top and the more intense I am, the more you guys love it. Like it's not uncommon for me to drop F-bombs and say ridiculous things and like just, pick up, and you guys love it. The more intense I get, the more you love it. Well, then as we progressed, it got even funnier because somewhere along the way, they learned that I had gone to Bible college. Yeah, Spencer went to Bible college. And so now they think it's funny because we got a cussing preacher on here. And so we have what's called the choir loft, and we have a congregation, and I get up and we do our little conversation. It's a lot of fun. Wednesday Night Live is. So if you guys sent me back a response to the question I sent to you, and you're part of that inside group, I'll cover that question at Wednesday Night Live so I can go deeper with it. Okay. Now, what I do want to touch base with on a couple things tonight, and by the way, those of you that are popping in, I'm looking over here because that's where I have the screen so I can see those of you that are popping in. You're welcome to drop questions, have conversation. It's an open mic, so just let me know. There's no particular structure to this at all. We just get on and make sure that we bring some value to you every night. And I do have a specific topic tonight. It's one that I think will stunt your performance more than anything else. As a matter of fact, I know it will. Because if you understand the Unshakable framework, the 4th block is on performance. And today I'm going to cover the mindset of performance, the pieces that cause people the biggest heartburn and why they are not able to continuously perform at the highest level. But before I get to that, I just want to share a little bit of some progress of what we're doing, where we're at. I do that every Tuesday too. I let you guys know. So we have, we are lining up events, 3-hour master classes, anywhere that the wind will take me at this point. Right now, we're looking to do as many of these as possible in advance of the Unshakable Drive book. The book probably be rolling out sometime around the summertime, and anytime, any place I can get to that will allow me to get up and speak, I am there. All they got to do is take care of me to get there and get home. I don't care. I'm not looking for any money other than that, and they got to have a pre-order version of the book. So this is a really good time for me to get in front of as many people as possible. You guys, this small army we've got here can help me get that happening. That's what we've been doing. So I've been working on one sheets, and I've been condensing the content so that we can get that going. Talking to different places right now, Southern California, probably 2 or 3 locations out there, talking to Cincinnati, of course, the Carolinas, because I have lots of contacts in the Carolinas, here in Jacksonville, and so on. So we've got a lot of places. I'm going to target places like Miami because I have a lot of contacts in Miami, Orlando, and here on the East Coast as well. I'm going to push for the New York as well. Anyway, I'm looking forward to taking this message on the road because I believe in what we're doing. I don't always have that belief, by the way. It comes and goes. And I'm wondering if that's not the case for you and your business. Your performance is super attached to that. But the only reason I can come with such conviction right now about what this message is going to do for you and your business and your life in general is because I have lived it. I have seen it. I have worked through it. I have gotten now confidence through the process and doing it. I believe in the process. But you might be thinking about this. Yes, Lorianne, when the book starts, they're working right now on helping me create a pre-order page. So when I have that, you'll be able to get that. So in any event, Unshakable Drive is the book that's coming out. But the reason I'm so jacked about the book, right, is because I firmly believe that it's going to help you do more. Right? One of the first questions I had to answer in the very beginning of the process was, well, what's this book for? I believe that there's a tremendous amount of people that are not living an advanced life. They're living an average life. We talked about this last week. And so we're here to help you build and grow and have a professional life, going pro. We're talking about having an unshakable life, the kind that has purpose, priorities, power, performance, and progression. Those are the 5 building blocks of the Unshakable framework. But this book basically puts you at the doorstep, meaning it gets you into that committed section where you have purpose. That's what this is about. It's the spearhead of the whole conversation. That's why we're doing it this way. I believe that this is going to help a lot of people. People that are just kind of, I've never been able to get to that next level. I fade in and out. I'm never really able to get fully into my potential because I'm always doing it and then I'm not doing it. And I can't get into this consistent stride of full on drive. That's what this book is about. Why? Well, because I struggled with that issue. From time to time, I have my own challenges. I have to step into the 4 factors of drive. And how do you do that? And what do you do? That's what the book is all about. Right now, because of the level of conviction that I have about this conversation, you're getting more. There's a transference of energy, is there not? If you are feeling this transfer of energy, I want you to understand this is how you build your business. This is how you sell your service. And the majority of you that are watching or on here right now, you're probably in real estate. Okay. That's the target audience most of the time anyway. So if you're in real estate, there's a mistake if you think that what you're selling is houses. You're not selling a house, honey. You're selling yourself. You're not selling a product. You're selling a service. And when you make that mental shift, number one, it adjusts the way that you actually approach your messaging when you talk to prospects. But it'll also, when you do that, it also can become very scary. And you can either sell your services from a position of fear, or you can sell your services from a position of faith. If you don't have congruency and you don't believe in your own processes, you're going to struggle selling anything. So, well, I want to show people houses. I want to do this. I want to do that. Guys, selling a house is not that hard. Selling yourself is the part that you keep falling short on because you don't believe in yourself. Some of you, by the way, there's 3 levels of faith. Okay, there's hope, there's general faith, and then there's conviction. We've all felt all 3 of them before. When we actually have conviction, or even if we just have faith, a basic level of faith, generalized faith, it'll show up in our expectations and it'll show up in our behavior. But if we're missing the point on what kind of conviction I bring to whether or not I can help you sell your home, I can help you buy this home. If you're losing or missing out on some level of conviction about what you're able to do, it's going to affect your effectiveness. People say, well, I just need more confidence. You missed the point. The confidence comes from the experience. The confidence is going to come from doing it more. So the only thing you can rely on is your faith, because faith is evidence of things not seen. You haven't had the result? That's okay. Do you believe that you can? Now, I'll tell you something. One of the things that's helped in the past, people get real, they struggle. And it's like, well, what if this and what if that? And they get all in their fear. I like to remind people that most people that are in sales are usually pretty good at being problem solvers, right? You're good problem solvers. Would you agree with me on that? Would you say you're a good problem solver? If you believe you're a problem solver, then it doesn't really matter what problems you create because you can solve those problems. So if you have the faith that you're a problem solver, if you have the conviction that you are the best, like Dan said, right? If you have the conviction that you are the best problem solver, then you don't necessarily have to have the experience to create the confidence. You can do that internally. Now, we'll say this. Part of the reason you don't have the conviction or the faith, if you will, to go out here and transfer that energy about how capable you are is because you don't have a system. You don't have a process. What is your process? We actually teach it right now. We're in the middle of the real estate reset. I have more modules to do this week. We're getting ready to start going through the 8 C's, right? Which is the structure. And we did a whole thing on that here in this group a couple weeks ago. So you can go back and watch it. But in the real estate reset course, we're going in depth with it. The process. What is your process? Do you have one? I asked so many people, I've asked people before, if you were going to sell your business right now, what would you be selling? Think about that for a second. A dominant portion of real estate agents will tell me that they would sell me their database. I could get names and numbers from anywhere. It's not that hard to get names and numbers, ladies and gentlemen. Your database is really not worth anything to me. Now, if you could tell me, here's my database, here's how they're communicated with X number of times per month, X number of ways. This is what we send them. And because we do all of this process, they are communicated with X amount of times, and therefore it yields this kind of results every year. That's a system. That's a process. That's something I could pay for. But just because you have a database doesn't mean you have a business. Just because you have a list of names and numbers means you got something of value. It's only got value until you put some utility or a process to it. So if you're struggling with performance, it's very likely that you're struggling with either the mindset of belief, conviction, or you're struggling with the mechanics of the process. Like, you could have all the conviction in the world, but you ain't got shit on the back end. And so people are like, it's like a house of cards, right? It's like you're just air. When you put those two together, though, and you have it congruent, it becomes powerful. It's why I can tell you, here's the way to have sustainable drive in your life. That it's not just every day, it's just not every week, it's not every month, it's for years. How do you build that? Well, there's a system. There's 4 factors. We teach it in the book. We teach it in the master class, right? And the more I tell you about it, the more you realize, dang, that might be something I want to get in on. Some of us are really, really good at just doing the business because we're naturally good at it. We're just good at talking to people, but we're going to end up hitting a peak level that we'll never be able to get past without the process, a system. My Keller Williams friends would know in their 6 personal perspectives, we have what's called E to P, entrepreneurial, purposeful, same discussion. Getting purposeful. Having a process. I'm not going to leave you hanging here with just me berating. Let me give you something of value. And before I give you some ideas on how to actually, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to actually increase conviction, faith, and that kind of thing, right? And what's going on. I remember very specifically having a conversation with an agent. I was walking on a sidewalk with the phone in my ear. This was years ago. And she was struggling with the concept of growth and growing more and doing more. And I don't know how, but sometimes the Lord just throws things at me. So I had a really good, I gave her this analogy. Have you guys ever seen a plant that, like a house plant, that stopped growing? Right? You water it. You did what you're supposed to with it. You put it in the right amount of light, or you took it out of the light, or whatever it was supposed to, and it still just doesn't. And for some reason, now all of a sudden, the more you water it, the less it grows. As a matter of fact, it might even kill it. You guys ever had a plant do that before? I saw Lori Ann was in the crowd. I'm pretty sure she's big into plants and trees and stuff. Yeah. That plant more than likely is root bound. A root bound plant, if you've never seen one, when you pull it up out of the pot that it's in, it's got more roots than it has dirt. Like, it's just completely covered in roots on the inside, and it has nowhere to grow. Sometimes some of you might be wanting to grow. You're going to the training classes. You're doing all the things. You're reading more. You're seeing more. You're exposing yourself to really cool people. You're doing all this stuff, but you're not willing to get out of the pot and get into a bigger pot. You're not willing to go from probability thinking to possibility thinking. Some of you get really, really worked up if you got 1 or 2 deals going at one time. I just got off the phone with somebody earlier today that has 5 pending for next month. and didn't sound like she was sweating a bit. Why? Well, because more than likely, the pot that her roots are in is bigger than the one who's thinking 1 and 2 is a lot and I can't handle it. It's a possibility that the reason why you're not growing to the level that you want or looking for is because you're root bound. And the more you give it food and water and sunlight and everything you think it's supposed to have, grow, damn it, and it won't grow. Until you take that plant, which can't be comfortable for the plant if you think about it. I don't know. I don't know. Plants, I don't know if plants have feelings, but there has been plenty of science around, energy and things around plants. But I would imagine if I was a plant and you pulled me up out of my comfortable little pot that I've been living in the whole time, and then you shake around my roots and get everything right, and you start aerating, and then you put me in a whole other pot that's bigger. That can't be comfortable. I actually remember where I got the analogy from. Is because I was on the back porch. We had a little apartment, and my wife had a little planter on the back little porch, and one of those little propeller oak tree, the oak tree with the little propeller type seeds landed and germinated in one of her little planters. And when it germinated, it was little seedlings sticking out. I told Amy, I said, leave it there. Let's grow this tree. And of course it grew. And then I took it out of there and I put it into a bigger pot. But then it only grew to about 4 feet tall. Now this is an oak, but I didn't want to get rid of it yet. I wanted to plant it somewhere that we were going to move to. And so finally, after the second move, I took it out of the pot that it was in. It was a pretty good sized pot, but it was enough to keep it root bound. It wouldn't grow any higher. I put it in the ground. Guys, matter of fact, next time I teach this, I should probably there's a Google picture from the road I can show you. This thing is huge. They got like a swing hanging off of it now. And we named him Henry, by the way, like Henry, old Henry, right? Henry the tree. Henry the tree had unlimited level of growth now because he was in the ground. He was rooted in the earth instead of some little pot. Now, I don't know what level of thinking you are at right now. Maybe you're in the very small pot and you're just hoping that the business is going to be okay and that you're hoping that you're going to be able to help somebody. Or maybe you're even at a higher level of you got some faith around this thing, right? You got a bigger pot and you're growing, but for some reason you seem to be stuck at that 4 foot level, that 4 and 5 feet, and you just can't get any more. Maybe it's time to go ahead and just get into that unlimited level of growth and stick your ass in the dirt. Go from probability to possibility. So here's some ideas of things you can do that might help you. Okay. Number one is just mindfulness and meditation. We talked about that before. Okay. If you've never done visualization exercises and seeing yourself at a higher level, give that a shot. That sounds a little weird for some people. I get it. I'm in the South. Some of you guys out in California are completely fine with this discussion, but some of you get a little bit weirded out. It's like, I don't know about that. No, I'm telling you, your brain can't tell the difference between what you actively and vividly imagine versus what you are actually seeing. It can't tell the difference. Let me prove it to you. I'm not a fan of scary movies. Maybe you are. Maybe you love them. But why is it that we can watch a horror film and we have a physiological response to things that's happening on the screen? We'll twitch, we'll turn, adrenal glands kick it in, we'll even sweat sometimes watching a movie. This is not even happening in real life. It's on a plastic screen. Why are you getting the warm and fuzzies when you watch something like The Notebook? Right? It's just a story on a screen. It's not real. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So if that's true, then why can't you just go ahead and play your own movie your business growing into this huge oak tree. Another thing you could do is positive affirmations, repetitive language, basically, that's way more productive. Another thing that would help you is actually preparing or practicing. So if you're going to, like in the real estate world, if you have never done a listing presentation, you might want to practice, right? If you're not that great on the phone, then you should be practicing to get better. That's what professionals do. It builds the faith to eventually becomes a conviction. Another thing you can do is get the right support system around you. I don't know if you guys are writing this down if I'm going too fast, but it is recorded. So another thing you could do is get yourself a support system. Get the right people around you. If you got a bunch of people with whose spirit animal is Eeyore and everything, life is all about how terrible, and they got such a dark, twisted view of how things are going to be, that's not your folks, my friend. Don't just distance yourself, though. By the way, some of these people might be family. You can't get rid of family. You don't necessarily just have to distance. The thing I want you to hear is that you need to get the right people. This is where coaching groups, this is where your environment matters, right? You go find build yourself an accountability group, right? Get yourself 4 or 5 men, 4 or 5 ladies, meet on Thursday mornings at Waffle House. I don't care. Find some kind of way to get together and meet and talk about these types of things. Grow. Another one that will build faith, conviction for you is actually physical exercises and spiritual exercises. Things like physical fitness, of course, because when you're taking action and you're doing the things that you say you wanted to do, it builds confidence inside of yourself. But so does spiritual exercises like prayer. I'll tell you another one. Gratitude. Gratitude is another one. Wanda, you'll appreciate this. Sometimes I pray with my eyes open and I'm walking around. The other day, I went into a full-on gratitude frenzy. Like I walked around my house and I just started pointing at stuff. And I was like, I am so grateful for this. And I had worked myself up so much. But I'm going to tell you something. By the time that conversation was over with the Lord, it was a whole nother day ahead of me. Man, I was on fire. Like that was wild. Actually, it was yesterday. Spiritual exercises, prayer will help. So will reflecting on past successes through gratitude. Pay attention to the gratitude. Guys, by the way, the reason gratitude works is because it forces your brain to pay attention to what you have. It's the antidote to fear, right? When I start paying attention to what I have, it creates massive levels of certainty. And certainty, by the way, is where all this belief conversation comes from. It creates that conviction. 2 more, and then we're done. I went over a little more than I usually do. Usually these aren't about 20 minutes, but I'm, woo. You guys have been fun tonight. Thank you. Another thing that will help you increase faith or conviction is setting, I don't like the word realistic goals, but setting benchmarks that you will actually achieve. And here's what I mean by that. Some of you are like, oh, I'm going to go do these really big things. I'm gonna lead generate for 3 hours, 5 days this week. Listen, if you haven't lead generated for 15 hours ever, and all of a sudden you're just going to go do this all of a sudden, can you? Yeah, I think you can. Problem is if you set yourself up with a really, really high bar like that, and you know you struggle with that kind of focus, Maybe you just get yourself a decision that, you know what, for today, I'm going to go 1 hour and go solid. I'm going to go 2 hours solid today. Set intentions that you are going to follow through on. Start training your brain that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Because what happens if you don't is your brain starts giving you answers or reasons why that's not true. Here's an example. I'm going to get up at X time in the morning, right? I'm going to get up an hour earlier. And maybe for you, that's 5 in the morning. I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning. You don't wake up till 6:15. You feel terrible. You've broken your own promise, and now you can't trust yourself, which means you don't have faith or belief in yourself. If you're going to do it, then you're going to need to make sure you either set yourself up for success on a micro scale or give yourself enough accountability around it to make sure it happens, right? So you have people around you, you have systems in place, ways to make sure that you get up early enough to hold yourself accountable. Because if you don't do that, then it's going to have the negative effect on you. Do what you say what you do. And then the last one, I was actually just talking to this with Marissa Canario. She's the national expansion leader for United Home Group. So she's got 200 something agents that she's working with. And we were talking about, journaling. Journaling might be a good idea. Journaling is a really good way, by the way, to build this faith and conviction for yourself. Maybe you're going through a difficult time right now. Journal, because you won't remember where your mind was while you're in that pit. You won't remember, because I promise you'll get out on the other side. There's so many things I wish I would have journaled about when I was. I've dealt with a lot of things, folks. Whether it's the epilepsy issues, whether it was going through school and then finding out I couldn't get into the military, whether it's my divorce. Maybe it's the challenges we had with our children as they're growing up. I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I would have done more journaling. I have a good bit, and that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. It's from my own personal experiences. But you should be doing that for yourself, because when you get through and you're on the other side, you can look back and you start reading this stuff. It builds a massive muscle of strength for you. Holy crap, was that me? Did I do that? Maybe you didn't do all of it, but you sure as hell made it through. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of Spencer Uncensored. It's episode 56. I appreciate you guys being here. Stay with us. By the way, I'm just going to make one more plea. If you're in a position to have me come and speak, whether it's in your office, whether you've got some vendors that like to put big speaking events on and you just want me as one of them, whatever the opportunities are out there, I'm looking for places to go, get on a stage and have a conversation. The Unshakable Drive message is what I'll be bringing more than likely, unless they want me to bring something else. I got plenty to talk about. So anyway, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here tonight. And if there's anything I could do for you guys, just reach out to me anytime. Y'all have a good night.